My name is Wan Izzuddin Sulaiman. I have been involved in the biotechnology industry in Malaysia and internationally for the past 30 years, both in the government and in the private sector. As you may know, Malaysia's national biotechnology policy has come to completion in the year 2020. The government is currently drafting a continuation to the policy. In this presentation, we shall discuss some of the issues regarding NBP 2.0. There is a clear reason why Malaysia needs to continue to embark on a journey to acquire and develop its own capabilities in science and technology. As the world's industrial revolution is rapidly advancing towards IR 4.0, the GDP of countries possessing core capabilities in technology continue to prosper, while creating a huge gap between them and those countries that are at the periphery of these technological advancements. A study by UNCTAD in 2021 clearly showed that there is a strong correlation between GDP of nations versus their level of advancements in modern technologies. Technology is an undisputed source of economic prosperity and wealth of nations, more than commodities, minerals, and other natural resources. Unfortunately, Malaysia is stuck in between. Economically, we are stuck in the middle income trap. This graph shows that we are neither down there nor up there in the income scale. We are still dependent heavily on our commodities, oil and gas, but is slowly adopting technology in our industrialization drive. Actually, Malaysia has earnestly attempted to push itself forward towards a high-income economy through the various Malaysia plans, industrial master plans, NBP 1.0, and various other national plans and policies which culminated in the so-called Vision 2020. In 2005, Malaysia launched a National Biotechnology Policy, or NBP 1.0. This national policy ended in 2020. This chart shows the major objectives of NBP 1.0, which was executed into three phases. By 2020, it was envisioned that Malaysia will be a home to at least 20 global biotech businesses. NBP 1.0 was formulated to create an ecosystem that nurture and support a vibrant biotech industry in a period of 15 years. A total of 9 trusts were being developed to facilitate the growth of this industry. These trusts were quite comprehensive, embracing human capital development, regulatory environment, funding support, and so on. By loosely and widely defining the scope of biotechnology, plus a very attractive mode of startup funding, the NBP 1.0 has successfully created the BIONEKUS program, which supported the birth of more than 200 startup companies in biotechnology within a mere 7 to 8 years of its implementation. Whether these 200 over companies are sustainable in the long run needs further analysis. By the year 2012, several companies in the biotech space have been able to raise a total of 821 million ringgit in funding through IPOs in various markets around the world. Even though some of these companies were established before the implementation of NBP 1.0, their growth and financial success occur during the program of NBP 1.0. NBP 1.0 has also successfully developed a network of laboratories and facilities dedicated to biotechnology in the country. These labs are basically located in teaching and research institutions. These labs need to be continuously maintained and updated in the future to ensure their relevance. One of the major achievements was the establishment of the National Institutes of Biotechnology in Malaysia, consisting of 3 centers of excellence in genome technology, agriculture technology, and pharmaceuticals. Making sure these 3 institutes operate with sufficient funds moving forward will be a major task of NBP 2.0. Malaysian BIOTECHCORP has also established and helped to populate 2 industrial parks, namely BioExcel in Nusa Jaya, Johor, and Kerteh Biopolymer Park in Terengganu. These industrial parks were able to house 2 major foreign investments in the biotech space. Whether we will continue to attract FDI in biotechnology in the future should be addressed properly in NBP 2.0. BioTechCorp has also completed the acquisition and transfer of 4 technology platforms from foreign countries to Malaysian scientists in various institutions of higher learning and research. NBP 2.0 should pay special attention to the valorization of these technologies moving forward. What was quite disturbing is the name of Biotech Corp has suddenly been changed to Bioeconomy Corporation in 2006-2017, and a new policy called Bioeconomy Master Plan was introduced midstream. Probably the reasons were there were some shortfalls of NBP 1.0 and there was a need to widen the stream halfway in the journey. But what is clear was that the momentum has been gained quite substantially in this industry. We need to sustain these momentums and continue to chart our moves into unfulfilled needs in the future. The long-term benefits of technology, such as biotechnology, will outweigh its risks and initial costs. According to the UNCTAD report, if our economy is going to migrate towards a high economy, the country needs to concentrate more into the services sectors in the future instead of the traditional sectors of manufacturing, commodity, and agriculture. The bulk of high income comes from the services sector. The sector is being generated and populated by knowledge workers who are highly skilled, highly knowledgeable workers. Therefore, we need to make a choice whether we will continue to invest in knowledge, science, and technology or otherwise. Actually, we do not have much choice except to modernize and embrace technology in its entirety. But the biggest question is which technology? There are so many choices out there. A recent study by UNCTAD shows that there are at least a dozen of frontier technologies which will have far-reaching impact on human society in the future. And biotechnology, as represented by gene editing, is only one of these technologies. Combined together, these frontier technologies will generate more than 3 trillion US dollars by 2025 globally. How does one measure the ranking of these competing technologies? One way is by looking at the numbers of publications in Scopus, and the other way is by looking at the numbers of patents filed in each field. It is quite clear that in today's world, there are so many frontier technologies to choose from, but we should be making smart decisions for our future based on clear facts and understanding. There are three major challenges in formulating NBP 2.0. One is conceptual. We have to define what is biotechnology. Two, tactical or strategic and approaches that we want to take given the realities that we have. And third, some of the issues regarding the implementation, how to do it, who to do it, and how to measure performance during NBP 2.0. It is crucial that in moving forward towards NBP 2.0, we should make clear demarcations on what we mean by biotechnology and what is not biotechnology and what is in between and whose jurisdictions each of these activities belong to. We do not want a policy that does not clearly articulate the differences between the various policies and programs, creating lots of overlap and competing authorities. In drafting NBP 2.0, we should start with having a clear and concise definition of what is biotechnology. This definition will have far-reaching consequences on the policy and the plans of actions that will be determined in NBP 2.0. A narrow definition confined to nucleic acid, molecular, and cellular-based technologies, such as defined by the US Academies of Sciences, will restrict the scope of the industry that we are going to develop in NBP 2.0. No matter how we define biotechnology, according to Gary Pisano in his book Science to Business, there is still a lot of uncertainties. The field is basically based on a diverse and heterogeneous foundation of science and is rapidly evolving field of knowledge which demands cumulative learning. These are some examples of products and services that are based on the definition of biotechnology around nucleic acid, molecular, and cellular technologies. In the field of agriculture, for example, one of the most important products of biotechnology is BT or GM crops. We must therefore ask ourselves the hard questions whether we want to bring these products into Malaysia or not. However, Malaysia may want to be pragmatic. The end goals of any technology policy is to use and harness technology to drive socio-economic change, to improve our livelihood and social well-being, to increase productivity, and to grow our markets globally. We do not want to be stuck in the middle income trap. Malaysia should be guided by long-term goals of Progressive Malaysia 2050 as envisioned by the Malaysian Foresight Alliance led by the Malaysian Academy of Sciences. Biotechnology is clearly an integral part of this plan. Therefore, our NBP 2.0 shall be stretched into at least two phases. First, the intermediate phase up to the year 2030, and secondly, in the long term up to 2050. Given these long-term goals, NBP 2.0 should continue to enhance capacity building, especially on human capital development. The Progressive Malaysia 2050 or Vision 2050 is a wholesome and all-encompassing vision to create a prosperous and technologically advanced society. In drafting NBP 2.0, the government has to make a conscious decision whether it is going to play a major role, taking a top-down interventionist approach or being a mere facilitator or enabler, helping to create clusters and open innovation. The government should also need to decide whether to focus its resources on flagship projects and attracting more FDIs in the future. Throughout the world, we have seen many successful models of industrial and technological development being carried out in the form of clusters. It is the nature of industries to agglomerate in a particular area due to high density and mobility of resources. The modern biotech industries were born in the clusters around San Francisco Bay Area, San Diego, Boston, Cambridge. Even Singapore has its biopolis. NBP 2.0 should be focusing its resources in developing clusters along similar models. Scientists should be encouraged and rewarded for collaborating in cluster work groups. The emergence of knowledge communities in various fields should be a priority, and a strong entrepreneurship culture should be inculcated. Nevertheless, Malaysia should find its own best fit model in order to develop the local biotech industry. Transplanting an industry from foreign lands will be a hard choice, but and organic growth will be too slow and painful to be undertaken. What is crucial is to foster an open innovation concept where a dynamic interchange of knowledge and information moves freely across man-made boundaries in a synergistic manner. Open innovation is an important recipe for success in many tech ventures around the world. It is based on the principles of egalitarianism, meritocracy, and self-organization. This chart, taken from the successful Flanders Agro-Biotech Cluster project in Belgium, Europe, perhaps can demonstrate the big picture in the development of an innovation ecosystem. One of the components conspicuously missing during our own NBP 1.0 was community engagement. In order to make NBP 2.0 a success, we must allocate sufficient resources towards civil society as well as industry organization engagement. Let us discuss some of the challenges facing us in implementing NBP 2.0. Since the lead agency in biotechnology in NBP 1.0, which is the Bioeconomy Corporation, has been tasked with a different mandate now, NBP 2.0 should address this issue of ownership of the policy immediately. The second challenge is how to effectively steer the fledgling local biotech industry from its initial hype into long-term sustainability. We need to work closely with the business leaders to pull the industry through the through of disillusionment, create viable business models, and climb up the slope of enlightenment towards productivity and long-term sustainability. This will be a major task during NBP 2.0. The third challenge is to determine priority areas amidst so many competing interests. But what is clear now, post-COVID-19 pandemic, is the urgent need in self-sufficiency in vaccine and diagnostics in major communicable diseases. At the same time, human capital development shall continue to be prioritized in the future. One of the issues that has been addressed quite pervasively in NBP 1.0 was the need for Malaysia to uncover the potentials of its rich biodiversity resources, particularly in the field of health and well-being using the tools of biotechnology. But the results so far has been far from satisfactory. Drug discovery and natural products development is a very long process which sometimes take more than a decade to achieve results unless Malaysia is prepared to revise its regulatory frameworks, particularly regarding the validation of safety and efficacy of its botanical products. Once again, if we were to strictly follow the US FDA model, this chart shows that out of 15,000 candidate compounds initially screened, only one will successfully made it to the approval level. NBP 2.0 should seriously address this issue. Finally, before the National Biotechnology Policy 2.0 is being rolled out, I wish that we would exhaustively and thoroughly conduct an engagement exercise that is more robust and open to all to participate. A website, a social media chat rooms, and various open communication platforms should be launched to solicit ideas and comments from the public and the various stakeholders. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again very soon. What we plan today will have its far-reaching implications in the future. A policy is meant to guide the future generations in making the right decisions and taking the right actions in an increasingly competitive world.